I'd love to invite folks to be wild and free with what they want this year and to claim it and practice. And if something doesn't work, you can change it and just begin again.
You're listening to Inspire Me with Jay, where science meets spirit and stories of meditation and the near-death experience awaken what's possible within us all. I'm Jay, and this is your moment to be inspired. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I'm your host, Jay Spillers. I have a guest, Emily, and she wanted to talk about meditation and having a new beginning for 2026. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on. And again, especially, I love this topic, and the conversation of new beginnings is a really big deal for me. We're sitting inside of my yurt, which we built on our homestead in May and through the fall. So my name's Emily Rebelle. It used to be Emily Otto, but this year involved a lot of like tower collapsing moments, burn everything and rise sorts of moments, selling off what I thought was my dream house, getting divorced, moving into my homestead, a partnership that just ended, and rebuilding my business as well through all of that. So I think I'm in a perfect position to talk about new beginnings as we go into the new year.
Yeah, so do you connect to meditation or anything?
I do. So I'm a healer of healers. So I do business and lifestyle mentoring, mostly for women and for women who have a spiritual practice. And so I think a big part of spiritual practice is meditation, is turning within and figuring out how do we regulate our nervous systems and also find the quiet on the inside so that we can find some quiet and peace when everything around us is chaos, or with everything happening in the world these days.
So how do you regulate your nervous system? Like, what are some of the things you do with that?
Yeah. So a big part of my practice lately has been revamping my morning practice in terms of starting my day with intentionality, like not opening Facebook or Instagram first thing and checking all the notifications of the news, and instead to be in that stillness with my morning routine, and then to intentionally choose to sit down and go within. And I think one of the, I'm also an Ashtanga yoga practitioner, and I've been practicing yoga for 15 years and teaching as well. And one of the important pieces there is, right, as the busier we are, the more we should be holding still and meditating. And it's so hard to do when life is crazy, or I'm also a single mom of 2 kids. But it's more important than ever when it feels like you don't have any time for it.
So what does Ashtanga yoga do? Because I've heard of different types of yoga, like yoga nidra and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. So yoga nidra is usually a series of breath and movement practices. It's a really beautiful practice. It's not the thing that I do the most. I usually practice Ashtanga yoga, which is a series of movements. What I love about it is it's customized per person. And so I get to practice with an incredible teacher in downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the United States. And when I go to yoga, I show up and get on my mat, and it's just about my practice. There's nobody guiding the whole room at the same time or trying to like get extra sweaty or extra strong. It's about that internal flow and the breath and the motion, and really that clear meditative point from within, finding the center stillness. So that's my yoga practice, which I love. And even in the times and seasons when it's hard to do a lot, I still try to find a few minutes a day to make sure to do that.
And do you do any other kind of meditative practices besides the yoga? Or
Yeah, so I find my own stillness practice a lot of the time, or sitting with different plants in terms of plant spirits, whether I have a living pine tree inside for the holiday that I've been sitting with a lot, or sitting and thinking about different goddess archetypes and how I would want to embody them at different times. I'd love to know more about the different types of meditation you've talked with guests about in the past. Is it all over the place? Are there certain styles or theories that you like more than others?
It's sort of all over the place. I kind of do eclectic, like I do mindfulness, and I do a lot of reflection, and then I do a lot of inner stealing and breath work and things like that. So, and visualization. I like visualization, but
I do
I
too.
usually use meditation music when I meditate.
Mm. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
What kind of
teach a lot of
meditation music do you like? Just
visualizations.
like the act. Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of tribal music, especially if it's in a different language, because then my brain's not focused so much on the meaning of it and more on the energy of the music. But I love teaching visualizations in terms of guided meditations, because I think it's such an easy way in when our brains are overactive and we want to be thinking about all the things in the grocery list and the to-do list, and I've got to go here and there. And so to have a 15-minute guided meditation, I think, is a really good way in for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, usually, like the only kind of voices I have that I've ever had with meditation is like when I've done. Have you ever meditated to Gregorian chant? I kind of like that sometimes.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I've been listening to a lot of like tribal women's voices lately. There's a couple of really beautiful French and French bands that have like women's chanting and drums. I think that would be a really lovely practice to sit with the Gregorian chants as well.
Mm-hmm. So you teach yoga and you teach meditation then, and you have clients that
Yeah.
you work with.
Yeah, so I end up having clients that are, people who are teaching sacred sexuality, or they're practicing Reiki, or they're massage therapists, or they're private practice therapists, and then they want to build their own business on the side. And so through the process of figuring out how do I do heart-centered marketing, how do I make programs and offers that help people and get me paid, I end up teaching a lot of ritual meditation, visualization, a lot of empowerment tools, and mantra work for the most part.
Hmm. So, most of your clients online, or are they in person?
Yeah, most of them are online and all over the world. Sometimes I'll host big events here in my hometown in person, or sometimes I'll travel to do VIP days, either to where my client lives, or I've gone to Miami or Sedona and places that are warmer than here in the winter.
Hmm. How do you find people like to connect with and?
Yeah, all over. I have a free Facebook group. It's called Sacred Business for Healers, Witches, and Priestesses with Emily Rebelle. And then I have my own podcast. It was called the Emily Otto Show, but it'll be called the Emily Rebelle Show going forward. And then I have an email list as well. So I do a lot of free resources and podcasts and summits and things. And then people can start to follow me or get a sample of the work. I also teach a lot of smaller group programs. And I have a membership called the Rich Witch Collective, where I do guided rituals and coaching every week inside of a Facebook group.
Hmm. And you had like an experience that sort of got you into spirituality, didn't you?
I did a couple different ones. The first big one was having an autoimmune disorder and a hip fracture when I was working a really stressful job. And that led me to yoga and to meditation. And then when my oldest son, he's now 7, when he was born, he needed open heart surgeries, quite a few of them. And that really threw me back into trying to find my center. And I've studied over 30 different healing arts modalities. And I'm a certified psychic intuitive. And so I use a little bit of a lot of different things to kind of put my world together and then help clients figure out how to do that for themselves.
Well, I mean, is like psychic, is that something you can be taught, or is that something that's just sort of comes with it?
No, I think both being psychic and like being highly intuitive can be taught. It's kind of increasing our awareness to it, right? Like being able to taste a different range of flavors or experience a wider range of emotion. It's something that takes time and good teachers. There's a couple great psychic schools online. It's hard to find the ones that are valid. There's a lot of fluff out there, but there are a few that are pretty great.
Is it just sort of like you go in a meditative? What? Well, go ahead.
No, yeah. So yes, it's very similar to meditation. So the way I was trained in the psychic school I went to, it all starts from within, and with visualizing a grounding cord going down into the earth, and then also reaching up into the heavens, and then finding a space within ourselves through which we can start to perceive the world. So it's almost going within in order to then be more in tune without.
And so, in terms of like a new beginning, how would you recommend that people start to do that for the upcoming year?
Great idea. I think I know what I'm going to start with doing is making a list of all the things I'm grateful for that happened in 2025, all the hard things, all the beautiful things, and then really setting the intention of how do I want to be in 2026? Like if every breath is a new beginning, and, you know, going from New Year's Eve into New Year's Day is a new beginning, what do I want to leave behind? But more important than that, how do I want to act, respond, and be as this new version of me? What have you been chewing on around that, of like this concept of new beginnings?
Well, I mean, it seems like just trying to focus on like what you've grown in this year, and then building upon that. You know, like have you been able to be more kind and compassionate? Have you been able to be more focused towards others, and not reacting? Because it's like part of the thing is you can get in the reactive mind where you're sort of reacting to situations rather than just kind of going introspection and trying to approach it from within. That's so crazy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, even with the statements of, well, here's what I don't want to be, or here's what I don't want to do, right? That's reactive, as opposed to saying, wait, who do I want to be in this moment? Or how do I want to act? How do I want to shine my light out? I love the idea of intentionally choosing the non-reaction.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing is too is that a lot of times, okay, we're like, well, we want to be there, but sometimes it's a matter of like, what about when other people are upset and angry? Just sort of not getting caught up in that energy, being quiet and reflective, and letting them vent or do whatever they need to do. But I'm not going to sort of actively really engage with that energy because it doesn't really suit me.
Yeah. Like, what's the intention, or what's my intention in the interaction? Yeah. I think meditation helps a lot with that because it's such an empowerment tool. You get to start to see your thoughts or feelings or emotions not as things controlling you, but as like, waves or a leaf on the breeze instead of something you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, in fact, I had a guest on a couple shows back, and she was talking about she feels like when she meditates, she can connect with her higher self. And when you connect to the higher self, she gets all the insight and downloads and whatever that she needs, and like, because it's kind of
Hmm.
like, it's sort of like connecting to the divine part of yourself. And it's
Hmm.
like, it cuts through all of the junk. And if you have any prejudices or negativity, it just kind of cuts through that and you see things more clearly from like the perspective of love and light and things like that. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, I love that. I agree entirely. And I think that's usually, I end up meditating on a goddess in particular or the idea of the divine. But we are divine as well. And being able to recognize that and try to maintain that space requires the constant practice, the daily practice, really, of sitting in meditation or being with ourselves and our emotions, and not like the processing over again and again, but kind of the like a clear seeing, which is clairvoyance and psychic abilities as well. I think it's all tied together for me.
Hmm. So is a lot of what you tell your clients to do is first you just have to be still and you have to focus yourself in the day. It's kind of like you said, you don't get on Facebook and you don't get on Instagram. You just
Yeah, because that's
sort of
reactive,
quiet.
right? Yeah, if we're immediately responding to the notifications and the
Hmm.
flags, that's reactive. Um, a lot of what I'll work with on my clients in the beginning is, yeah, changing up their patterns of behavior and shifting things that they're paying attention to or focused on, so that they can connect to themselves and then choose, okay, what do I want to offer in this season? Or what does my work look like? And then how, in terms of the marketing or the content creation and all of that stuff. Because most people don't get into business because they enjoy marketing. They want to help people, they want to do the thing. The marketing is just like a necessary piece that a lot of my clients don't really want to do. So I try to teach them ways to do it that work for them and feel good.
Hmm. Well, sometimes it's like even real simple things like, uh, starting your day just getting a tall drink of water, because it sort of
Yeah,
hydrates your body and then helps you to think better, you know.
right. The simple things, especially I think in the season of the holidays, and if there's work stress and family stress, the simple things like starting with a glass of water. I've been drinking a lot of lemon water, warm lemon water. I practice with a lot of Ayurveda because it's the sister science to Ashtanga yoga. And so warm lemon water first thing is a big thing. And then all the hygiene practices are also mental hygiene, whether it's tongue scraping or neti pots or good nourishment, getting outside for walks. I'm a huge fan of walking meditation, just silence and connecting with nature and the world around. It's hard up here in Michigan in the winter, but I made myself catch the last little bit of daylight and go for a walk down by the river. And I'm noticing there's a lot of beavers here and they've cut trees down, and like just the all of the detail of the way that they did it and the shape of the tooth marks and all of this beauty to be able to zone in on for a moment so that then our inner world gets silent too.
Hmm. Yeah, I would imagine that Michigan's weather would be similar to Montana, because we're kind of like up
Probably.
north, going heading towards, you know.
Yeah, probably. It was probably 23 degrees or so today. I bet it gets colder where you're at.
Yeah, I mean it gets pretty cold. But because I just know like all those states, like Michigan, Minnesota, North
Mm-hmm.
Dakota's colder than Montana.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it gets chilly here. I love the snow and the trees, but I'm already done with the cold. It can be spring again.
yeah,
But I think
well, it's
that's
pretty
part of
clear.
it too.
Yeah,
Hmm. I think, I
like
mean,
past
that's
days,
too,
it's
right?
kind of
Enjoying where
clear.
we are. Yeah. feels like you're facing a big window too. Is it snowy where you're at?
No, it hasn't snowed in a couple days. It's just kind of really cold, but then it's clear skies and the sun's out, so it's like, it's not really too bad. Just cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gray here quite a bit of the time. And I think that's why another reason, like the internal practices are so important, because we can't control the world around us, whether it's sun or weather or people. And I know control's not the right word, but something like it, right? Like the point of meditation is not control, but something like, I don't know,
Focus?
Inner predictability. Focus is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that we can do so we don't feel just at the mercy of everything around us. We're not a victim of circumstance or the world. We're an empowered, soul-aligned creature having this experience.
Well, do you like New Year's resolutions, or do you just do more of kind of a take inventory and reflect? But do you like New Year's resolutions itself?
You know, I like them if it's part of a seasonal practice. I don't like the pressure that our society can put on New Year's as like the only new beginning we get. I like a lot of Buddhist practice that says each breath is a new beginning. Each breath. So what if I just make a different choice? And so that's really what I start with my clients with, of choose what you want. And then all of the action aligns to that. But there is some semblance, even if destiny is all we've got and all of the choices are already made, there's something to the practice of choosing. And I think New Year's and New Year's resolutions gives us that power of choice in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
is it sort of good to craft a I mean, I kind of do them a little bit, but I don't. Yeah. I guess I try to be more realistic and, build a resolution where there's sort of some flexibility. Like if you're saying, well, I'm going to exercise more this year, maybe if you made it like I'm going to exercise a few times this week, every week, as opposed to every day, because then it's like every day, then I miss a day. Well, then it's like you feel like it's all been long,
So I recently gave up alcohol forever. It's only been 30 days and I've done 30 days here and there, but there was a moment in my life where I was like, I'm so stressed out and I want to have a drink. And I said, nope, I'm not doing that ever again. Done with alcohol completely. And I think that's a big piece of it, is each day, each moment is a begin again, right? Because there is, for everyone, I think there's a falling off the wagon thing sometimes with any practice, any healthy practice. And I don't think it does anything good for us as humans to be like, oh, well, I guess I tried that and now I'm screwed, as opposed to, wait a minute, it was falling off the wagon or it was a slip up and I get to begin again in the next breath, in the next day. Like, okay, today I didn't behave the way I wanted to. Tomorrow is going to be different. Here we go.
But like with alcohol, did you have like a problem with it, like addiction, or was it you just felt like maybe it was better to refrain from it? Or
yeah, I have alcoholism in my family on both sides. And then I was really stressed out. It was a really terrible moment in my life. And I wanted to take a drink. I just wanted to have alcohol to make me feel better. And I thought, I don't want that to be a thought in my brain that, oh, okay, if I'm stressed, then I drink. And so I decided I wasn't willing to have that as a possibility anymore and decided not to. Yeah, so now when I see that come up, I'm like, okay, that's nice. That's cute. Yeah.
Well, because a lot of people will use food the same way. Like when you get stressed,
Yeah.
you go grab a snack, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a normal animal and human
So like instead
thing.
of out, Mhm. Well, so like, do you take a moment to have like meditation or still yourself when you're thinking this is a situation where I would normally go get a drink?
I usually try to move my body of like, okay, what do I need instead? Or, all right, this is a pattern. So I need a cup of water, or I need to sit down and meditate, or I need to have a one song dance party. I'll do a lot of dancing and have like a one song dance party and shake it off and move my body. That helps a lot.
Hmm. So, what kind of plans do you have for this coming year in terms of where you want to take your business or what you want to do in your personal life? That like, where do you see yourself going in this next year?
That's a great question. I really want to revamp my business and then get settled in here. There's a lot of building out of the yurt to do still. And then I mentioned my kids are 4 and 7. I think a lot of this year for me is about new routines, new patterns and habits of what does my life look like now? What do I want my day to day to look like? And I mentioned I live on a homestead. We have 10 acres. We have chickens. We have yaks. I just got baby goats. And so I dream of summer mornings of taking my coffee out my front step and over to our living pond and sitting on the rocks that we put there and enjoying the nature around me. We also have 2 hives of honeybees. So I think the biggest shift is more presence, more ground, and more vulnerability, and kind of amplifying everything I've been doing in my business. I've owned it for 5 years. But there's been a lot of dips because of all of the personal shifts happening last year. So I'm really excited to relaunch programs. I just went through a rebranding. I just did an empowerment photo shoot, and the photos are starting to come out. So it's kind of like another big Phoenix moment in my life of like, okay, here we go. But this time, I've already made the decision for a lot of the beautiful things that I want in my life. And now I've just got to let them fly.
Hmm. So, like, is it kind of like it's like a circular system?
Yeah, it's like a tent basically, but wood, and there's insulation in the walls and in the ceiling, and there's a big skylight in the top, and like we had to run electricity and water. I just got indoor water a week ago, so I was without water inside for 6 months, which was really interesting. And then we ran all the electrical ourselves, and figuring that out or asking people for help. It's been quite a journey.
Well, so is it kind of like, did you build it from scratch, or do you get like a kit that you buy and it kind of assembles together, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
so we got a kit from a company about an hour or two away called the Great Lakes Yurt Company. Out by you, there's one called the Pacific Yurt Company that's pretty well known. And so you buy the kit and you can decide how many windows, how many doors, upgrades of this and that, and the color. And then you have to put it together yourself or hire people to do it. And then like this build out with the wall, my kids have the loft, the birch bark is the railings, like that's all custom crafted based on what you want it to look like. So it's kind of like a tiny
It's
home.
sort of like, yeah. Well, because it's like people are getting more creative because housing prices are so expensive. If you could get a basic piece of
Yeah.
land and then have something built on it. Mhm.
Yeah, so on average, I would say your kits are anywhere between 10,000 and 40,000, depending on the size. This is a 20-foot yurt, and so it's 400 and so square feet, which is part of why we built the loft to get a little more square footage in there as well. And then we're on 10 acres of land, and there's a main house, which 5 people live in.
Hmm. Was it so?
Yeah.
So do you like rent a space on the 10 acres, or do you own the 10 acres? Or oh, okay.
That's a great question.
Huh.
So we are a community homestead, but then the laws of the state are what they are. So the land is owned by my two closest friends, and then I'm basically renting, but I own the yurt. So I own everything here and everything in
Hmm.
here, and paid for the water hookup and connections, but they own the property.
Hmm.
It's actually the
Yeah, I mean,
first
there's
time in
lots of
my
different options because there's like,
yeah.
yeah.
There's so many
Well, I
options,
mean, like
and
cooperative housing.
mhm.
Yeah. Go.
The yeah, so their biggest thing was what would make me feel comfortable. This is the first time in a long while I haven't owned a home. I've owned 4 different houses. Um, but it's really nice not to have like be responsible for that piece of it. Um, and then I am responsible though, like for the land and the upkeep and the animals and all of that.
Hmm. How far is the main house from where you live in the yurt?
300 feet. And I know that because I had to trench that 48 inches down in order to pull the electrical line from the house to the yurt.
Oh, well, does like the yurt have its own running water and plumbing and stuff like that, or do you have to go to the big house?
We just finished it. So I have a compost toilet here, and then we have regular electricity, and then we just finished the running water, and I have a tankless water heater that runs on propane that we're getting hooked up as well.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. So it's almost like you're living off grid, kind of.
Yeah, a little. It definitely, when I didn't have water and I was just using like a cistern, it felt a little more rustic. The electricity is pretty great, and I have heat, but I look forward to the summer because it's still a little chilly. It's still living in a tent in winter.
Hmm. So I mean, it's like living in a yurt, kind of part of what you do in terms of like the practices that you do spiritually and whatnot.
It is. I really wanted to see what it would be like to live in a round space without corners and straight walls. I do have that with the build out. Um, but then, yeah, most of what I'm teaching is business and lifestyle mentorship. So, teaching my clients, like, how do you want to live? Do you want a homestead with your friends? Do you want to live in a city or in an apartment? Or, what are the options that are best suited for your life?
Hmm. Well, could that be part of like for some people the new year is adopting more of a minimalist lifestyle, just
Hmm.
sort of whittling out the things you need to want.
Yeah, I mean, before this, my house was 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 floors, a basement, a 2-car garage, a backyard with a 2-tiered deck. And so cleaning this is so fast and easy. Um, and then, yeah, decluttering, right? Like, how much do we really need? How much do we really want to take care of in our lives, as opposed to focusing on our practices or on helping others or crafts even. I do artisan hide tanning as well. So I teach at the local folk school. I teach hide tanning for deer and for coyote. And so that's a practice I want to do a lot more of this year.
Hmm. So I mean, is it being in a studio apartment, or do you have separate rooms, or
Inside the main house?
no inside the yurt?
Oh, I have 3 separate rooms. So I have a bedroom, a bathroom, and this main room, and then the loft.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, do you host classes, yoga classes and meditation classes every week then? Did it freeze up? Hello?
Oh, still there?
Oh, yeah. I
Buffering.
was just wondering. So, do you teach like weekly meditation classes?
Don't, but that's a good idea. I could teach weekly classes. I I teach as part of, I have a couple different programs. One I have a trademark for called CEO Enchantress, and it teaches people how to build a business.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a cool idea, though.
Your
And
your
one I
focus
might
is more like on helping. Yeah. So, is there like one final word you like to leave with the audience before we close out?
Yeah, I love that invitation. I think I'd love to invite folks to be wild and free with what they want this year and to claim it and practice. And if something doesn't work, you can change it and just begin again.
Yeah, that sounds like a good word. Well, thanks for coming on today. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really enjoyable. I really appreciate it.